none other than the Attorney General, started off the debate.
What's your whole take on what transpired in Parliament?
Politics is not a tea party. The war is on.
So what happened there, right? And what caused the uproar was that after Padarat made his plea to the chairman, because in committee the speaker is called the chairman, for him to intervene with respect to the muting of the mic and so on, and perhaps he wasn't pleased with the response that he got from the speaker. So like the petulant little schoolboy that he is, he got up. He's in a huff. So he was sitting within my line of sight, just about 2 or 3 chairs, because the way that the Standing Finance Committee works, where he would normally sit, the Minister of Finance was sitting there to be able to assist the ministers who, if a question is asked, and it is more a question that could be answered by the Ministry of Finance rather than the minister, he could intervene. So he was sitting directly in front in the chair that Padarat normally sits in. And they would have changed up the seating a bit on the government side, right? So he didn't have his normal seat. So during the course of the session, he was just moving around. Yes, he sat down one place, then he sat down somewhere else. So at that point in time, he was sitting in the chair where Saddam Hussein would normally sit, right? And he got up when apparently he didn't like what the speaker said. And he got up in a huff. And I see him heading down to the back. So I said, I know he's not going to do what I think he's going to do to try and assault this boy. So he gets up and we walk in and we see him going on. And several of us notice him. So we our eyes following him. And then you see he goes down to the public gallery and he pulls out his phone and he's taking a picture of the guy. So when I saw that, I raised up my hand and I said, Mr. Chair, what's going on here? What is that? And then others started chiming, Christian chiming, Kareem chiming, and you heard Stuart and stuff. But the speaker said he didn't see. He didn't see that. Right? Okay. So there is Padarat taking photos of the guy. And we started kicking off. We want to know, why are you taking the boy picture? To do what? To send it to who? Next thing you see the guy's photo all over Facebook. They know his name, where he live in. And then doing that now, because you'll see it would end up on kick out the PNM Facebook page. And then all kind of things would be said about this boy and putting his life in danger, because we know UNC supporters could be a little bit unhinged. And they just listen to the narrative that comes from their side. So we started kicking off first, Mr. Speaker, you need to deal with that. You are the presiding officer here. You need to pull up Kuva South for what he just did, because, hey, that is a threat to your staff. That is intimidation. So with all of that taking place, then we see like the boy supervisor come and somebody else come and they talking to him and all kind of thing. And he just there trying to explain himself, right? People come, they bring somebody else to replace him. And then you see he gets up and he go and they escorted him. Well, he walked over. I don't know if it's his supervisor or whoever it is went, and he left. And someone came to, I guess, to assume his functions and so on. But of course, that was in and of itself trauma. Who are you to do that? Leave it to this. You raised it on the floor. You brought it to the attention of the chairman, and it is now for him. He tells you that he could do nothing. The standing orders does not allow him to treat with the matter in here. So we assume you take note of it. The clerk of the house, Mr. Caesar, I guess you would bring it to Mr. Caesar's attention, and then they would do the investigation, because they have cameras spanning the entire diameter of the chamber, the ceiling, right? So there would be a camera that is focused on the public gallery, so they would have seen everything when Padarat came and he took the picture. There's a picture going around now with him taking a picture, and that is not AI. That is an actual photo that would have been taken by the camera that is panned onto the public gallery. So it's for them to go and do the investigation now. Now, based on what Stuart said, based on the legal definition of what assault is, and you don't need to hit the person, is that once you engage in any action that may be deemed to be intimidatory or so on, it could be construed as assault, which would mean that Padarat, the police, in conducting an investigation, could in fact bring a charge against him of common assault, right? He did that. And there's evidence to show that he did that. So he come back now and he sit down and he listening there. He looking kind of concerned because the speaker and how things unfolding, and he realizes that he was the cause of that. And then there was the exchange afterwards. And a man like the member of parliament for Labrie, Clyde Elder, disappointed me greatly. Elder is a former trade unionist, a man who went down in the trenches to fight for the rights of workers. Sit down there and you defending Padarat because that's your boss? So what happened to the trade unionist in you? All of that went out the window, you cast that aside, you put it in the grip and shove it under the bed because now you're in the fold of the government and you're getting paid as a minister in the ministry of and enjoying the perks of the work. Is that it? So you no longer care about workers' rights? In another dispensation, he would have picked up that when he was, General Secretary or whatever it is of the Communication Workers Union. These are the things that you would have fight for. But you just sit down there and then trying to defend that. Really? To say that you have no evidence. If it is you accuse the young man of muting the mic, well then you go through the process and prove it innocent until proven guilty. Natural justice, you have a whole set of lawyers sitting on the government side. That is how the process, you did not because Padarat say that happened and Michelle Benjamin or whoever or Vandana Mohit says that is what has happened, that happened, that is what it is. And what? You suspend the guy, you go through a process. And we were saying, that was our point, we defending the guy. But you see, I understand that this is a pattern with them. This is not the first time that we have heard that they treat the staff of the parliament with contempt.
Watch this.
So the bias... no, I am not going to apologize for that at all.
My mic was being turned off too.
The biased approach by the staff
Okay.
and the technicians to mute while we speak, and sometimes the audio while it is being played or the parliament channel will not be tolerated. And therefore we ask, from now I'm signaling that there will be a meeting of the broadcasting committee to treat with these matters.
So from this audio clip, you'll recognize the government is complaining that their mic is being cut, interrupted, muted when they are making their contribution. That's their complaint. And of course, the parliament went into a whole uproar where that's concerned. But forgive me, I have to compare something. The whole reason why they are complaining that it was muted is because they understand that if their contribution is muted at the wrong point, it would not have the impact it's supposed to have for the listening and viewing public and for those who are listening to them within the parliament. If your contribution is interrupted, it could lose its substance. It could throw you off, and then you have missed the mark. Now let's go back to some weeks ago where people were protesting, doing a peaceful protest to make their points known. Were they muted in a sense? Were they interrupted? As a matter of fact, were they disrupted? And now, because of that whole scenario, was the message lost because they were interrupted? The point I'm making is that nobody wants to feel as if they're point or they're being muzzled. And I think the government is not seeing the irony in this whole thing. You guys are in parliament and you're saying, oh gosh, the meeting, my mic, what's this about? I don't like this. People are on the streets where they can ventilate their issues because they don't agree with certain policies. And you guys are using different arms of the state to mute them. Think about it. You know, you used to say a long time, do so, do like so. Come on.
Barry Padarat is in the middle of a political firestorm after the opposition accused him of intimidating a parliament member of staff. But Padarat is not backing down. He fired back, saying he's ready for war, as he accuses the opposition of using the incident to bury Curry Marcel's alleged racist and seditious comments. The minister now waits to see if police will act.
The recent comments made by Curry Marcel at a political meeting, I see it as disgusting, divisive, totally uncalled for, and this is what represents everything that is wrong with politics in Trinidad and Tobago today. For decades, I have worked closely with leaders on both sides of the political divide. I worked with Patrick Manning, Dr. Keith Rowley of the PNM. I also worked with Basdio Pandey and Kamala Prasad, the assessor of the UNC. And at no time, any of them, did I ever see the leadership of either major political party promote racism or seek to divide citizens along racial lines. So it's not about the hierarchy in the leadership of political parties. The real damage often comes from persons lower down the political ladder who lack the ability to inspire, to lead, or even present proper policies. So instead, they do what is the easiest thing to do. So instead of offering solutions to fix the country, they resort to nasty attacks, racial undertones, and the demonizing of political opponents and their supporters. Trinidad and Tobago, that is not leadership. That is political laziness. The suggestion that one group of citizens does not like another, or that political support must be defined by race, I see it as reckless and dangerous. Citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, you have a constitutional right to support whichever political party you choose. Voting for a different party does not make someone your enemy. It makes them a citizen with a different view. And this is exactly what is dividing the country. This is why young people, they do not want to enter politics. This is why parents do not want their children involved in politics. This is why the quality of political representation continues to diminish. I have been consistent on this issue. I have condemned these types of divisive and racially charged comments, whether they come from the PNM, the UNC, the ABC, or the XYZ. An example of this is when I called out a certain minister for his stupid comment stating that India will nuke Venezuela. That comment because he felt that Trinidad and Tobago has a larger Indo-Trinidadian population. Wrong is wrong. And division and race baiting could never take our country forward. And let me be clear. If the PNM believes that this type of gutter politics will help them return to government, they are mistaken. These comments do not win over floating voters. They push decent citizens further away from politics. It would be refreshing if we could return to a time when politicians spent more time telling the country what they intend to do to fix crime, to improve the economy, to strengthen institutions, to protect families, to build a better future, instead of standing on platforms attacking and demonizing their opponents and calling them enemies. As a former Minister of National Security and someone with a military background, I understand what an enemy is. The enemies of the state are criminals, corrupt elements, and those who seek to destroy our country and our democracy. A citizen who supports another political party is not your enemy. Do not be fooled by these politicians who continue to try to play divide and conquer. How we vote is not how we party, and that is fine, but we must never allow that to destroy our social fabric, which for decades has been the envy of the world. Trinidad and Tobago can and must be better than this.
What I'm saying is now, man naturally tribal, right? Man does naturally find something different with our next man to make him against our opponent. You know what I mean? So them from up, so you from down, so my family, you don't talk to them family, thing. You always find something in somebody that does make you tribal, right? Just trigger your tribal instincts, right? That natural in man, it's from since the beginning of time, right? Now, race is one of the quickest, easiest ways to be tribal, right? From you look at somebody and you see they have a different race, it is the fastest way to trigger your tribal instinct, right? Now, I just ask one question. With all of this bacchanal and thing, right? Well, let me know I just think kind of different. But I just ask the questions now, right? All right, let me say the Indians win the race thing, wherever back this race thing that we've done for all these years, right? The Indians take everything, or they have all the money, all the control of everything, and all they get what all they want. Whatever it is all they want with the race war, right? All they get. What gonna happen? What gonna happen with all the black people? Or what we doing now? You know what I mean? What we gain out of it? If all the black people win, and right, we get all the money, everything, and we have all the Indians and the Chinese and all the other races there. What is the way going forward after the race war is done? What we doing with the people after who live in here and saying, well, you know, I'm from here and I'm Trinidadian or whatever the case is. You see, all they're doing is triggering your tribal instinct and to no outcome. You understand me? I always thought it's a deep thing in one. There's a lot of context and thing. You know what I mean? And it's not so simple, right? Because what CHA0S do, you see, CHA0S is a very intelligent man, you know. he's a very intelligent person. He's one of the young leaders that, you know, I like to see in the parliament, and have a modern way of thinking and stuff like that. But you see, he would have grown up seeing us being tribal, and he have a seat in the parliament now, and you know what I mean, he going through the mud, because you see, to raise the topic in such a manner is not the way, because you're triggering people tribal instinct now, boy. You know what I mean? And to end this stupidness, because if I go through my comments and thing, it have a lot of fake profile and all kind of different things they just see, and nobody's come and lock them up like they lock up Johan. You know what I mean? And say, you know. So it's really a deep-rooted thing, and to end it is like pulling out police who bad. One police had to call our next police and hold them accountable. Hey, that's wrongdoing, don't do that. But we don't do that. All them comments online, people have likes on them and things, racist comments. That is part of who going on with we. You know what I mean? So, if I not holding you accountable, or we are friends might be talking certain things are wrong, we not saying, hey, nobody, no, that's not the way. If we're not doing that, then you see, we go always be triggering, be tribal instinct into to the ends, to the means and nothing, because nobody winning. We just they fighting. Politicians using racist dog whistle all the time to trigger people tribal instinct, and have you fighting up here. And nobody dealing with the business in a positive and proper manner. It's a sad thing to see. You see, here what is going to, it is take a lot of intelligence and education, because how you stop in your tribal instinct. Most people over 25, 30 years old, whatever you see them doing, that's probably what they're going to be doing for the rest of their life, you know. You don't learn everything you learn, and that is who you probably is. You form your identity at an older age. You know what I mean? And you have a lot of people picking up this racism thing, and I believe it have a lot to do with a lack of education, because if you're educated enough and you have the information, you would try to stop that tribal instinct. You know what I mean? You would know that is wrong, and it has no means, that no ends with it, because look at us. But at the end of the day, Trinidad and Tobago, you can't stay angry. And you had to try to make this place a better place. You know what I mean? By ending racism. There's no profit for any one race or any one man in a place that we all calling home. You understand me? Or about we go and bully the boy, you take off the mic and take picture and thing. Them is the things we had to watch. Look at the people who in charge of us. Look at how they're moving and thing, intimidating people and thing like that. What kind of vibes is that? Or why are these people not wholesome leaders really for everybody? It can't be me alone feeling fed up and like this is just a big waste of time, boy. You know what I mean? Godspeed to Mr. Marcel. You know, it might be the right intentions but wrong approach, in my opinion. You know, you don't want to trigger people tribal instinct. Right? Again, Trinidad and Tobago, better try to make this place a better place by not being racist and calling out your racist friends and things, if we really truly want to stop this stupid cycle that we're in. You know what I mean? So big up on yourself now. Have a nice day, right? I go.
Trinidad and Tobago personally. Yeah, it does have my heart, eh? Look at that. Yeah. Anyway, I didn't come here for this. Right. I saw a video with Maraj. I think he's a sex doctor, right? Calling on the Sanatan brothers and sisters. He said about the video, this has to do with the video that this TikToker made, who is in jail now for cussing the Hindu gods and cussing Kamala. Now, disclaimer, I find that video was real distasteful and sickening. Distasteful. All of that wasn't called for. But we're supposed to have a freedom of speech. And it's not the first time I've heard people cuss God, people cuss whoever. It's not the first time. But people have a freedom of speech, right? And I've heard another TikToker who was of African descent, who proclaimed that he was Hindu. And I've heard his take on it, where he said, you could curse whoever that had nothing to do with him, right? And the God he served, or the gods he served. And he went on to speak about the different gods that the Hindus serve and have, right? And he said that had nothing to do with who he serve, and it doesn't change the price of sugar. And I heard Mr. Maraj, Dr. Maraj, came with a scathing accusation and threat. And I saw it as a threat, right? Because I heard when he called on his brothers and sisters from the Sanatan to come out, and he said, you all know what you have to do, right? When these people come in front of you. Now, who is these? I want to know what you mean by these people, right? And he said, I'm not attacking nobody, no. This is not a threat, you know. This is not a threat. But he went on to say that he will defend his God. Now, I don't know when last God needed defending. Whichever God need defending, because we are a speck in front of God. We are a speck. And I don't know when last God needed defending. God will deal with who he have to deal with. But let me continue. He said he ain't threatening, but he said none of them has apologized. Who is them? None of them? I have heard a lot of people came out and condemn what this TikToker said, right? And I don't know what you're referring to as them. And then he went on to say that these people, I don't know who he's talking about, these people want to live in society with us, in harmony with us, and they want to eat our food and listen to our music, and we will not allow them. I wonder when last food and music was ours, was theirs, it belonged to them. I don't. And you're saying that you're not attacking the African community. You're attacking one person. Who is these? And we should not allow them. We should. Trinidad and Tobago, I want all you to listen to this video. Put any comments what all you think, because I feel my brain probably whap that I think in otherwise. But listen to this video. Listen to it and put any comments what all you think, because.
Here we go again. Someone attacking our religious belief, someone saying vile things, cursing at our manifestation of the Lord, and we're supposed to remain silent, not say anything. The person who is appealing to us to not take it on, let the person rant and rave and leave it at that. But I want to ask those persons, when they're making their videos, how do you feel, or how would you feel if somebody were attacking your belief system? How would you feel if somebody was attacking your representation of God? I am here to appeal to all my Sanatan brothers and sisters. You know what to do. I'm sure you know what to do. For those of us who have a strong grounding in your religion, in our practices, in our belief, these persons will come in front of you one day. And I hope you know what you have to do, because I do. And I'm not saying it as a threat, but I'm saying it as a warning to individuals who think that they can attack my belief, my way of life, my gods. If you think you can attack them and hope to come in front of me for anything, think again. Anything. So we have the power. We as Sanatanists, we as Hindus, we as people who believe in Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, Ram, Krishna, we have the power within us to do the right thing, to defend our religion. Always defend your belief system. No amount of money can pay you to turn the other way. Remember these things. So when that person is presented in front of you, because he will be presented one day in some form or fashion, and he may want something from you, it's a simple no. That's all. No. Because I cannot assist you, I cannot help you, I cannot give you anything. Now, I know those who have taken a solemn oath to do good by everyone would think otherwise, but there are things you can do. Listen to what I'm saying. There are things that you can do. You can still live by your oath. You can still do what you have to do. But remember what that person has done to us. Remember what these people are doing to us. They want us to forget. They want us to forgive. They want us to... For how many thousands of years they've been asking us that? Forgive and forget. Don't let those things bother you. But not one of them has apologized for what that guy has said, or apologize and say, I am not of that belief, or I am sorry that somebody would say something like that. How many of them has done that? And yet these people want to live in society with us. They want to live in harmony with us. They want to eat our food. They want to enjoy our music. They want to do certain things. And we allow them. I say it's time we say no. It's time we say don't allow it. Don't allow these people to desecrate our belief system and get away with it. Remember that. It's not revenge. It is standing up for what's right. It's standing up for your dharam. It's standing up for your belief. It's standing up for who you are as a Sanatanist Hindu. We have forgiven all our many generations. Since time immemorial, we've forgiven and forgetting and forgiving and forgetting. Everyone wants us to do that. You rape and plunder India. You try to destroy all our murtis and all our temples and everything else. And we have to just forgive and forget. No, I don't believe we have to forgive and forget. You may not like what I'm saying, and you may not prescribe to what I'm saying. You may think what I'm saying is wrong, but this is my belief. If they can come and rant and rave and curse the gods that I believe in, I can come here and warn my Hindu brothers and sisters that it's about time we stand up for what's right. It's about time we come together collectively and say, it's enough. It's enough. I have nothing against any other religion. I have nothing against any other race, color, creed, or class. But I have a serious problem when someone attacks me, because it's a personal attack. When you attack my Lord, you attack me personally. When you attack my belief system, you attack me personally. And I think I'm very passionate about what I believe in. I'm very passionate to be a Hindu. I'm very passionate about these things. So when something does something like that, when someone does something like that, it makes me boil inside. But I also know to control that anger. And I know there are things that I can do personally that's going to put a stop to it. There are things that I can do personally to tell that person, I don't want you in my vicinity, I don't want you in my yard, I don't want you in front of me, I don't want you in my business place, I don't want you anywhere around me. Find whatever you need elsewhere, because whatever money you have in your pocket, it has no value to me. Whatever you want done for your benefit, your family benefit, or whatever, it has nothing to do with me. Find it somewhere else. I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
Them not like me and me not like them. Some of me and me and them not friend. You all know that song? Anyways, so Gary Marcel made similar comments on a political platform, and he is now in the hot seat because people are now calling for his resignation, and they said that language is unbecoming of a member of parliament. And so let's dissect it. On a side note, please go follow me on my new account, Jan. I decided to purge my account, and it's heartbreaking because I worked so hard to build this page. But I know the real OGs will go and follow me over on the new account. You can expect the same kind of content more or less. But that's just a decision I took. So the CHA0S, by the way, stay all there. Anyways, so let's talk about this whole issue with Gary Marcel. My question is, why, when people speak out against the injustices that they face, they are the ones who are now termed as racist or divisive? Now let's look at the full context of what he was speaking about. He is stating that since this UNC government came into office, by their actions, they have placed his constituents at a disadvantage and have discriminated against them. I don't know how many of you all following the news, but is he lying? When you could reduce the funding for P&M corporations, Port Spain Regional Corporation getting 4 billion, but Princeton getting 37 billion. Y'all don't see that as institutionalizing discriminatory practices, because that is what it is. Read between the lines. But y'all don't want to hear the truth of the situation. When anytime there's a matter for crime, the people are termed P&M people, right? And let's be true, when we say P&M people, most times a substitute for black. Let's keep it real. Let's not be disingenuous. Let's not be fake about it. Let's not be pretensive. Because you mean to tell me nobody should know who I'm voting for? You can't watch a man by the ethnicity and say, well, that's a P&M. And you know the funny thing is, 99% of those criminals are not P&M. They probably don't even vote. But because they live in a P&M constituency where their mother or their grandmother and their great-grandparents vote in P&M, they are termed as that. The racism online is immense. Let us be real. A MP termed the P&M protesters when they were in the white as vagrants. You all don't find that thing when an MP a minister. You all don't see those things as racist. When Philip Alexander always talking about the 1% and the 1%, that is racism too. Because the 1% are an ethnicity in this country. Or is an ethnicity in this country. Sorry for my grammar. And they have their rightful place and space. You all don't look at that as always perpetuating divide, because his language is continuously divisive. I don't know if he doesn't feel a part of the Syrian community, but he's always on Sabga and Sabga, 1%, and always talking about 1% being used by him as like a economic term to speak about those who are wealthy. You're being deceptive, because we know it's like a double meaning, because you're speaking about the wealthiest, yes, but you're also speaking about the Syrian community. Those statements have been racist as well. Where was the uproar when Kamla tell Camille her name come from a slave master? That is a slap in the face to African ancestry. We had no control over what our names would be. We were brought here as property. They renamed us. We had no link to our ancestry. Our names were changed, our language. We were split into different groups. So you weren't with your family. So your language couldn't be preserved. Yes, thankfully our ancestors, some of them were very resilient. And there are still some of us who maintained our African roots. But due to the atrocities of chattel slavery, that's why we have slave master name. So to say things like that, that is racist. Where was the uproar then? Where was the uproar when Dr. Rowley's skin complexion was always made a mockery of? Bobby head, yeah. Where was the uproar with blank man? Where was the uproar with Oreo? So don't get me wrong, I don't support racism at all sorts, because I love everybody. But what I can't take with Trinidadians is a selective outrage. You all cannot be telling Karim that he needs to step down when you all have people like Anil Roberts and Philip Alexander in Parliament who on a daily basis spew divide. The reality is, and I learned this the hard way, racism is like an epidemic in this country. And I find it worse now. It's worse now because you ain't in power, because certain people feel emboldened. And it is the reality of the situation. Who don't like it, according to that lady, bite it. It's the truth. And you can't heal from a situation without recognizing the truth. We can't fix something if we don't acknowledge that there's a problem. We have a problem in this country. Trinidadians is only be united for fete and maybe jamming in some instances because it's a fetish most times, but regardless, I'm not even going into that. We are divided. We all wish for a better Trinidad and Tobago, but we can't be selective about who we're chastising, because you can't uphold one and chastise the other. That's not making sense. So my take is his wording could have been different, right? He could have euphemized it a bit, but the main message that he was making is that he felt like the UNC's actions by them, and to me by their supporters as well, continue to structurally disadvantage his constituents. And apart from structurally putting them at a disadvantage, they have branded them in a very negative light. And yes, we know crime happens in Port of Spain. Yeah, we know. We know. But it has happened in Penal too. It has happened in CHA0S. It's a national issue. And yes, for years, historically, a lot of PNM constituencies have high crime. But you know something that's really funny to me? I was driving through St. Clair. I was basically on the west, right? And when people talk about Port of Spain, they always talk about Laventille has been a PNM area, big the ghetto. That's when the PNM area they know, but they can't talk about St. Clair side. And I was like, wow, I did not know, because I'm from Tobago. I said, I did not know that Port of Spain have these kind of communities, and it isn't shown, right? But it's so racist, right? They believe in stigmatization. So when you think about PNM, you think about the crime within areas. You wouldn't think about the places that are unaffected by crime. You understand? Karim, the message, you wasn't wrong for transmitting that message. Stand up for your constituents. The wording could have been better, right? In terms of when you say you I know they ain't like them. You know, the Bible says turn the other cheek, love everybody. That's my take.
This guy isn't racist, but he believes it could be beneficial if his supporters believes that he is.
PNM people, they don't like we and they will never like we. But I want them to know that we don't like them and we will never like them.
People could now see clearly how PNM view their own supporters. PNM still believes these people are not capable enough to comprehend real solutions to their own issues. So instead of saying to them, we have plans to open permanent job placement centers so that you could secure a place in the future for your children, or we are going to make the process with land regularization easier so that you could access mortgages and build generational security. Instead of making an effort to do this, their focus remains here.
They hate African people, they hate black people, they hate people from Vincent, they hate people from CHA0S, they hate people from Maloney, they hate people from Lakota, they hate people from the trade line, they hate people from Arima.
So Trinidad and Tobago, let's see. I want all to see because at the end of the day, who have eyes, let them see. So in a time like this, when the country in a crisis and everybody calling for peace walk, even the gangs in Trinidad and Tobago, you understand, coming together. I thought I could have never see that again. The kind of killing I see with the gangs, and this one hate this one and that one singing this song about that one, and they're going to the limit, and they could squash all that and come together. You as a big minister, you as somebody who's supposed to be a leader in society, that is what you go come and say on the media. We don't like them, and we will never like them, and we I hope all the scenes what them oversaw stand for. All you love PNM, all the PNMEs. That is just, I'm glad how we do that too, you know. I'm glad how you do that too, you know why? You show what they have behind the curtain. You understand? So all you go ahead and vote for them, and all you will see what all you will get in the future. Because at the end of the day, let me tell all you something, I want all you to be wise out there. Open up all your eyes. I hope all you're seeing. If there is a slave master on a plantation, and none of the slave them don't like him, because you know why? He beating them. He doing them the worst. He giving them good ration. You understand? He's selling all the slaves them to other plantations. The unhappy. You understand? So one day he come up with this strategy that he realized now the slaves don't like him, and he not getting the full potential out of the slaves and them. So you know what he do? He call an election. He put his daughter, he put he, and he put his son. They vote him out and they put his son. I want to ask all your question. All you think anything changed in that whole situation there? Well, let me tell all you, the only thing changed was the face. Because you know why? The face changed, but he was still running the house behind the scene. So I want all you to understand, all you love PNM, PNM only have one way, one style, one pattern. So if all you understand that by now, I don't think that I could break it down even simpler for you. 10 years all you come from something, and you know what hurt me the most is how all you forget so fast, boy. How all you forget that so fast, boy. That is 10 years all you come from trials and tribulation, and 1 year time all you want to run back there. All you need to use this, because I realize some all you thinking with something else, you know. Me and all you.
The country has now found itself in a situation where a sitting government minister left where he was sitting inside the parliament to go and intimidate one of the parliamentary staff, and then the prime minister herself not coming out to condemn it. But then again, why would she, when she was the very one who threatened to cuff down another parliamentarian some months ago? Imagine leaving your seat to run up on the mic person to take a picture of them for what? What are you going to do? For them to lose a job? To intimidate them? When workers at certain ministries say that they are working under fear and they're afraid to speak about anything because they might lose their job or victimization, believe them. Because if this is their actions, sitting in the parliament on camera, on mic for the country to see, imagine how they just act in their ministries when they have all the power. And all they can say what they want. He have some he-she tendencies. I've never seen a man complain like he does complain. Bro does complain for everything.
It was at the front office here. I had to walk for 2 miles in the rain with my supporters. I was not allowed to go in with any vehicles, etc. In several constituencies, experiencing long lines, unable to vote in a timely manner, having to deal with inexperienced staff. In some instances, when I came here to vote, it took me a few minutes actually to be called into this.
And the people have been recognizing it. Everything about him is just giving woman who you can't please. Everything is an issue. Yeah, that's him on a daily basis. This color isn't the right color for this wall. I don't like this handbag. It's not matching my thong. I mean, oh God, ease us up now. I can't even begin to imagine how the workers at public utilities just feel every single day having to deal with you. Like, the unease has to be astronomical.
Trinidad and Tobago's parliament descended into chaos on Friday night, with the opposition calling for a criminal probe into UNC MP Barry Paterath's conduct towards a parliamentary staffer.
It's a free and democratic society. What the hell is wrong with this government? Be quiet. What's wrong with this government? Out of place. Everyone. What is that? Protect. And you have not come to the defense of your own police. Your own staff in the parliament message. Call the police him.
This comes on the heels of a difficult week in the country, where the UNC government signaled its intention to target the so-called wealthy 1% amidst allegations of racial undertones against the Syrian and Lebanese community. In a fiery response, the PNM alleged that the Indian-led UNC is using PNM people as a new racial slur, stating that the UNC hates the Africans. Meanwhile, businessmen Gary Aboud and Peter George expressed concern regarding the government's divisive language, with Aboud cautioning that the Syrian-Lebanese community, who employ tens of thousands in Trinidad, could one day pack their bags and leave if the racial targeting continues. For me, to reduce somebody's life success, the brilliance of their effort, their sacrifice, their family's sacrifice, and accuse them of underworld activity, I think it is irresponsible and unbecoming at best, he said. The American Chamber of Commerce also cautioned the government against attacking large segments of the population, supporting going after white-collar crime, but warning against attacks without evidence. I hold the same position here as the American Chamber of Commerce. I support the TTPS going after white-collar crime, but as someone myself born as an ethnic minority in a foreign land, xenophobia and racism against any community, I think is deeply disgusting. The truth is, it's a divide and conquer tactic of those in power. Race wars keep some of these politicians in business. Us versus them. It drums up support from their bases. It gets them elected to office. They don't seem to care about the effect that it has on the country. The Patriotic Front entirely rejects these racist ideologies. This is not what we think. This is not how we feel. This is not how we speak. And this is not how we would govern the country. Look at how they're behaving in Parliament. Local elections are due in 2027. General elections are due in 2030. Trinidad and Tobago is at a crossroads. The direction the country goes in will be up to you at the ballot box.
What's your whole take on what transpired in Parliament?
Politics is not a tea party. The war is on, and the UNC will not roll over and play dead.
No.
We have endured this for far too long, and we are drawing attention to what has been happening inside and outside of Parliament and the biasness that continues to occur.
Minister, the PNM have suggested that a criminal probe be started against you. How do you feel about that?
I want to suggest that a criminal probe be brought against one Karim Marcel, because we have to raise the issue of whether or not those comments were seditious. So I have no intention of being a scapegoat or distraction for the PNM and their machinations. But I want to tell you before I go into Parliament, stay tuned. The Honourable Prime Minister will make a statement in the House and you will be very interested.
None other than the Attorney General started off the debate with threat after threat after threat. The Tamla now tonight trying to roll it back. They're trying to roll back, put out a statement saying, listen, we weren't attacking one ethnic group and one ethnicity and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right. Fool who you want. But you're there fooling Trinidad and Tobago. Last night, people, the last section of Section 4 of our entrenched rights is freedom of the press. That is what you heard as part of the attack last night under the state of emergency. You cannot use the state of emergency to suppress people from expressing their right. And you have young people asking legitimate questions, questions that they're entitled to ask, expressing themselves in an honest way, and a legal way, and you trying to suppress that? And you're trying to shut them down? And the negative, derogatory language the Prime Minister uses calling them grifters, race baiters. What's this race baiting about? You are the biggest race baiter they have in Trinidad and Tobago. I just asked the mayor as we were sitting down there, what the hell a P&M person does look like? This phrase about P&M person and anybody looking like a P&M person, we know what it looked like, right? According to their mindset. But we in the PNM see citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, and that is what Eric Williams and the founders gave us, and we will continue to fight for all citizens who are law-abiding citizens in Trinidad and Tobago. When we were in power, that same Jason X, during the last election, was vocal, cussing the member of parliament for Port of Spain, North, St. Anne's West, left, right, center. And we were holding office. We were in cabinet. Member of Parliament for Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West at the time was the Prime Minister. I said, let them talk, let them express. That is a God-given right. Kamla Prasad Bisesa is not doing that. It's state of emergency in the backside and suppressing everything. We are not going to accept that.
So today I want to talk about a very interesting story, and I don't know what to think about, guys, and I will really want you go into the comment section and tell me. I know you've already watched the clips and now you want to know what is Irene's take on this particular story after this unusual story or something happened inside the parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, not in taxi parks, not in the market, not in the church, not in public space, not in the field, inside the parliament where the laws of Trinidad and Tobago are made. Oh my God. You know, this is a place, a parliament in any country is a place whereby decisions that affect the ordinary citizens are supposed to be made, and it's also a place where leaders are expected to show professionalism. But I can tell you, in the parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, the attention moved away from normal professionalism, from normal policies, and it focused on a very, very heated conversation involving the microphone. I mean, a very controversial, involving a parliament staff, and also some accusations here and there about intimidations. So, my good people, this issue, it started during the parliamentary session, and I know you know that, whereby government members raised some concerns, claiming that their microphones were being muted, those were from one political side, and that is the opposition in this case. So they were there and complaining and raising concerns and questions whether their voices were being restricted knowingly. So this matter quickly became political, and of course it will become a storm, a political storm, since all of them are there. I mean, those that are in the administration and those that are in the opposition, and I can tell you this story became heated like never before. And then in this story about the mic and everything, there is another story that came up, and there were reports that the minister Barry Padarath, he was accused of intimidating a parliamentary staff, and these particular allegations connected him to taking pictures of the staff member after some disagreements over the microphone, which wasn't really okay, So I can tell you a lot of reactions were created at that moment inside the parliament and also outside the parliament. Outside the parliament, in this case, I mean the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So Trinidadians want to know what exactly happened, who is responsible, and what does this say about the state of politics, And of course, as you all know, the parliament is a place whereby order is supposed to be, a place whereby people are needed to debate about matters of the country, and also a place where different opinions can actually exist. But again, arguments happen there, disagreements happen there. But you see, many citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, they still believe that as much as there are disagreements, there are arguments, respect must be there, because you see, millions of people are watching these particular proceedings, or probably it could end up in the media, like the way this one has ended up. And even us here in Africa, we now know about what happened in the parliament, which is not really good. When such arguments happen, normally it's because you are actually representing a certain people in your country, but in this case it was like something else. So the good people, the supporters of Barry Paradat, of course, they will really defend him, like, seriously. But again, the critics will be like, no, that's not okay for a leader to do that. Anyway, if microphones are being controlled unfairly in the government, of course that issue has to be addressed, right? And and as the speaker of this parliament, it should be fair in everything and give every representative an opportunity to speak, not like trying to restrict microphones, especially. At this point, it feels like the speaker of the house, was trying to see what the representatives were saying. Like, if they don't like what is being presented, they switch off. That kind of leadership, which is not good. So the public must be respected, because you see, in every conversation that happens in a country, there are those that will support, there are those that will criticize, and there are those that will stay neutral. So in this case, you'll see that criticizers, or those that do positive criticism, will say that, you see, this parliamentary staff, she shouldn't feel pressured while doing their jobs, which is okay. Like, they need to be comfortable. Imagine working and then you are at the back of your mind, you're just thinking of somebody watching you or thrilling you. You'll not be comfortable at all. You'll be pressured, and that's not really good. So public servants, at the end of the day, they must be protected from political pressures, because remember, at the end of the day, they are not politicians. They are not politicians, so they should be given space and not the pressure. So people are really talking about this issue, and I know it's very big and it's very sensitive, because everything that we normally talk about, it narrows down to trust and how our leaders behave. So many Trinidadians are looking at the bigger picture, which is, politics in Trinidad and Tobago. Of late, it has become more heated than ever, and in social media, people have always come out to, air out their grievances or opinions, or say what they think about a certain issue. And you see, every clip that you watch, every argument that you watch, and every moment can actually become a national debate within seconds. So the way the public has reacted about this story has been really intense. And of course, some Trinidadians are saying that they are really tired about this political drama, and they want leaders to focus on things that are affecting them, like crime, that are like economy, jobs, and the high cost of living. And of course, they should also focus on accountability. Accountability matters so much. And if something happens inside the parliament, many people tend to observe like what really matters most to them, and they want answers on anything that happens in the parliament. And if you look at the perspective of former parliamentarians, or in that case, most of them have spoken about this issue, and they actually believe that whatever happened in Trinidad and Tobago inside the parliament is really unusual. And these disagreements, it's questionable on how even it unfolded. Could it be drama or what? What are they trying to avoid or evade? So, if you find a former parliamentarian speaking, of which I know it's even in our clips, in one of our clips here today, most of these people are defending the importance of parliamentary staff roles. They need to be respected because you see, parliament is not just about politicians. That is where everybody gets it wrong. They think that it's if you go to the parliament, everybody is a politician. No, there are cooks, there are cleaners, there are receptionists who are not politicians at all. So these workers that are behind the scenes, the people managing the systems, the people supporting the process, and you see, without these people, the parliament cannot function at all because it's an entire system. So they need to be protected and respected. So you see, this particular microphone issue, it's a microphone issue that has created too much debate. And you see, if microphones are being muted unfairly, that's also a serious concern because a section of Trinidadians whose representatives are being muted the mic whenever they come out to speak, they'll actually feel like, no, there is something that you are hiding and we need to know what is it. Why don't you let our leaders speak their mind and we get to understand the point of view. And of course, democracy, at the end of the day, it normally depends on being heard. That's all about democracy. Majorly depends on being heard. And if there are technical reasons, those also needs to be explained clearly, because when people become confused, then it creates something that we call suspicion, and suspicion will create anger will create frustrations. So the people of Trinidad and Tobago, they do not want confusion. They only want transparency. They want facts. They want leaders to communicate clearly, like what is really happening, what's the cause of all these things. And one clear thing that I've learned today is that, you see, this particular controversy, it has really damaged the confidence that the Trinidadians had for their leaders. And many of them are asking if their politicians are listening to the people or they are just fighting each other even inside the parliament. Because you see, outside the parliament, people are dealing with the real problems. And many communities are worried, or families, many workers are worried. And young people are also worried about their future. So, I mean, when parliament becomes a place that focuses so much on conflicts, then of course those that elected these people, these parliamentarians, they'll feel disappointed. And at the same time, you see, this particular issue and controversy, it shows why institutions do matter. It shows why rules matter. It shows why respect matters. And at the end of the day, a country cannot function properly if disagreements become a personal battle. Because you see, leaders must remember that their actions are watched, their words are remembered and recorded, their behaviors are set as an example. And most of these people tend to forget this. When you get into leadership and politics, just know that they will start discussing you from the point that you were born and up to the point that you are at that particular moment. So what do you think will happen next? Because people tend to think that there will be an investigation. Probably the parliament will review what happened. Probably there will be new rules that will be introduced on how to deal with such kind of issues, especially to do with the workers, the parliamentary workers. And of course, I don't know if this will become another political argument, most political arguments, they trend for like 3 days and then they disappear. So only time will tell on this. But one thing is that I know is that the people of Trinidad and Tobago, they are really, really paying close attention to whatever is happening in their country. And at the end of the day, they will always demand for answers. They will always demand for accountability, and they will want the parliament to represent the seriousness of the nation that it serves, not just to go there and be dramatic and how they were behaving, and these utterances that they were making. No, that was really, really bad. We don't really want that particular sentiments of RACISM in anywhere, even our leaders talking about it. No, we don't want that. So what do you think about this particular topic today? I really want to know what you think about this, because I don't know if you also think it was a misunderstanding like how I do think. Do you think that this reveals a bigger problem within the political arena? Let me know in the comment section. This conversation, I know we will always remember and talk about it. So I'll see you in the next video, my good people. Kindly sure to subscribe. We will have videos every day, guys. Thank you, and see you in the next video.